Okay, good morning, everyone. We'll continue our book reading this morning, Advanced Selling Strategy by Brian Tracy. And we're in chapter 9, which says how to make powerful presentation, which is where we stopped yesterday. Still reminded us on the things we need to do before we make a successful presentation. It also gives us four things you must find yourself doing, or four things you must do to be able to be capable of doing a successful presentation of your product and your services. Number one of them is that you have to find people who will be able to buy your product. Like it says in the beginning of the book, you have to know your audience, find your customers, look for those people who you know that your product and services will be able to serve. Then second, they said you must uncover the problem or need your prospect has that your product or service can satisfy. Are your product or service qualified enough? Are they a quality product that will be able to solve your customers' problems and their pain point? The third one say you must demonstrate to the prospect that your product or your service is the best choice solution to the problem and that it makes economic sense for him to buy it. This is where you do your proper presentation of your product and services. Talk more about its features, its benefits, and how it is going to serve them. Today, we'll continue on page 303. It says gap analysis. Gap analysis. The fact that a prospect can buy does not mean that he will buy. Ability to buy and willingness to buy are two separate issues. Just because a prospect can be better off with your product or service doesn't mean that the prospect will purchase it from you or from anyone. The prospect may need what you are selling, but need is not sufficient. For the prospects to buy, the need must be great enough. Your product or service must be the best choice available, and your prospect must be convinced that he will be substantially better off making this purchase decision than he would be if he did not. As a salesperson, you are in the business of gap analysis. You are a problem detective. Your job, somewhat like a police inspector searching for clues, is to find problems for which your product or service is the ideal solution. In a way, your product or service is a key. You make calls looking for locks that your key will open. In the prospecting phase, you insert the key and find its fit. In the presenting phase, you twist the key and open the lock. In the closing phase, you turn the handle and push the door open. Like a verbal detective, the tools of your trade are questions. You use them to get appointments, uncover problems, discover gaps between where the prospect is now and where the prospect could be by using your product or service. You then show the prospect how much better his situation could be by owning and enjoying what you're selling. There's an old saying, no need, no presentation. Before you begin your presentation, it must be clear to the prospect that there is a distance between where he is without your product, that is his current reality, and where he could be with your product, which is his ideal future condition. The product must recognize that the prospect, must recognize that he has a need that is unsatisfied or a problem that is unsolved. The prospect must also feel that the gap between the real and the ideal is large enough to warrant him or her taking actions. Buying desire is in direct proportion to the intensity of buyer's needs, on the other hand, and to the clarity of the solution represented by a product or service, on the other hand. This process of taking the prospect from cold to lukewarm to hot to accomplished by the skillful use of questions that uncover the gap and then expand it to the point where the customer feels impelled to take buying action. So this is where we'll stop for our reading today. Okay, so it's gap analysis. Gap analysis is defined as, seeing yourself as a problem detective. Just look for clues, search for clues, and find out the problems that your products and services can solve. It's just like closing that unsatisfied gap, that gap of unsatisfaction between your product and your prospect. Okay. And this prospect can also be seen as the process of taking the prospect from cold to lukewarm to hot and to accomplish by skillfully using questions to uncover the gap that expand it to the point where the customers feel impelled to buy. So your questions too can also asking questions to your prospects can also help you identify the gaps that your products can cover in your prospects daily life. So that's just a brief summary of our book reading for today. Thank you.